My name is Leora Markham. I'm 24 years old, and I used to think keeping your head down was the smartest way to survive a dysfunctional family. Turns out, it just makes you the most convenient target. Growing up, my brother Max was the one with potential. He could miss curfew, fail a test, dent Dad's car, or light the backyard grill on fire and still get praised for having creative energy, while I got scolded for reading too much at dinner. Max got a new car at 16. I got a lecture about independence and a bicycle with one brake and a wheel that wobbled like it had secrets. Mom would say, "Max just needs support." Dad would grunt, "You're the reliable one, Leora." Translation: Max was the investment. I was the insurance policy. By 24, I'd stopped expecting anything. I had my own apartment, a quiet IT business fixing and reselling refurbished tech, and exactly 0 people relying on me except clients. And honestly, I liked it that way. I worked weekends, built credit, ran every dollar through a spreadsheet. I wasn't flashy, but I was free. Max, on the other hand, dropped out of business school after 3 semesters and decided to start a brand, which meant buying followers, printing 12 hoodies with a Canva logo, and calling himself a visionary. The ask came Saturday night, lasagna night, Mom's overbaked brick of noodles. We were seated when Max leaned back, swirling his wine like he was on a panel. "So, Leora, you're doing well, right?" I gave him a slow look. Define well. You've got the business, clients, savings. He said savings like it was a flaw. Mom smiled like she already knew. "I was thinking maybe you could help fund my next drop." Next what? He flipped his phone. Hoodie mock-ups, a sketchy Shopify page, a vision deck typed in notes. Just need a little boost. About 20 grand. I laughed. You want $20,000? You'd be investing in family. You don't even know inventory costs. You spelled fulfillment wrong. Dad grabbed garlic bread like this was normal. Mom softened her voice. He's just asking. No need to get defensive. Defensive? He's asking me to bankroll a delusion. Max leaned in. I trust you. You're the one who always fixes things. After dinner, I sat on the patio with my work laptop fixing a payroll issue. Max dropped beside me with a beer. Kind of selfish to hoard money when you could help someone grow. I didn't look up. You think King Energy hoodies is growth? Entrepreneurs take risks. Then take your own. He scoffed. You're always so uptight. Maybe that's why no one invites you out. Then he reached over, grabbed my open laptop, and held it over the pool. Max, I warned, standing. He grinned. Let's see if you can still work after a little baptism. And he dropped it. The splash hit before the rage did. I watched my laptop sink, screen flickering, my client's admin panel dissolving under chlorine and stupidity. Oops, he shrugged. I fished it out in silence. Dad came out. What happened? Max destroyed my work computer. Max cut in. It was an accident. Chill. Dad gave me that look. We'll deal with it later. I nodded, wrapped the dead machine in a towel, and left. No shouting, no scene, but something in me cracked. At home, I laid the laptop on my counter like a body. I didn't cry, didn't rage, just watched water pool beneath it and whispered, "Okay." Then I grabbed a legal pad and started writing. By Monday, I'd ordered a replacement, paid to scan my backup drive, pulled every invoice, contract, license, credential. Max thought he'd hit delete. He didn't know I had 2-factor on everything. He didn't erase me. He triggered me. On a second pad, I wrote, accounts Max still has access to: Amazon Prime, Netflix, iCloud Family Plan, Spotify, Hulu, the Wi-Fi router at my parents' house, the domain for his site. I circled each one and wrote, revoke. Then I opened a spreadsheet. Lockout protocol. Step 1. Change every password. Step 2. Remove every remembered device, including his old iPad labeled Max_real. Step 3. Install remote logout tools. I did it quietly. Max always mistook silence for submission. He didn't realize I'd spent 6 years learning how networks and leverage work. He sacrificed my laptop. I was about to sacrifice his comfort. It started small. Tuesday, Netflix, gone. Wednesday, Spotify, downgraded. Thursday, Hulu, dead, the one he bragged about using at his girlfriend's place. I imagined him staring at, oops, something went wrong. That alone almost made me smile, but it wasn't enough. So I moved to the router. I'd installed their mesh network at 19, under my account, admin rights, remote access. They never changed it. Friday night, I logged in, renamed the Wi-Fi to Max_O's_Leora_20K, and changed the password. At 9:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Dad. Wi-Fi down. Fix it? Me. Maybe ask Max to manifest better signal? Dad. Be serious. Me. I am. That weekend, Max sent a Venmo request for $2 titled Chill Tax. I declined it and blocked him. By Sunday, Mom called. You need to stop this. You mean stop fixing my own life?
The gunpowder in my inventory.
Max is stressed. He says you're sabotaging him.
I like being an AA runner.
I laughed once. I haven't touched him. I removed me. Why are you being dramatic? Funny, that's what he said after he baptized my MacBook. She sighed. Don't escalate.
You're not going. Okay.
I looked at the dead laptop, still smelling like chlorine. Then opened my browser, pulled up his old business site, the one I built, and changed the domain DNS. 2 minutes later, it redirected to a page. 404. Accountability not found. The next morning, Max woke up to 18 password resets, 6 streaming errors, dead Wi-Fi, and a Shopify store pointing to a digital middle finger. But the best part? He didn't even know that wasn't the real revenge. That part was still sinking. The next morning, I woke up early. Not because I had to, but because for the first time in years, my mind was quiet. No mental checklist about what Max might break next. No background anxiety about fixing something before anyone noticed. Just coffee, stillness, and the low hum of control returning to where it belonged. I sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop, and titled a document. Project Reset. No drama, no threats, just actions. Bullet points. Systems. Because people like Max don't change when you yell. They change when access disappears. By noon, everything was mapped out. Every password changed, every shared login revoked, every account untangled. I scheduled a call with my bank to remove my name from an old co-signed PayPal business account, one Mom had convinced me to help Max set up years ago, just to get him started. That help had grown into something else. My credit tied to his experiments, my name sitting quietly under his failures, my stability acting as his safety net. Not anymore. Max's first real reaction came faster than I expected. Late that night, the family group chat lit up. Max, Netflix down for anyone else? Mom, works fine here. Dad, I said nothing. Minutes later, Max. Spotify's bugging too. Anyone else? Still nothing from me. The silence did more damage than any argument ever could. The next morning, my phone buzzed, Max calling. I let it ring. Then a voicemail. Hey, I think something's wrong with the network or whatever. My site's not working. Can you check it? He still didn't get it. Still thought I was the one who fixed things. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen, remembering the splash, the flicker of my laptop dying underwater, the way he smiled like it meant nothing. Then I closed the voicemail without replying and moved to the next item on my list. DNS settings. His brand website, the one I'd quietly built, hosted, maintained, still ran through credentials tied to me. He never learned how it worked. Never needed to. I had always been there. Until now. I adjusted the redirect timer. 6 days. Enough for panic to settle in, but not enough for him to figure it out. Let the illusion collapse slowly. Let him feel it. By afternoon, Mom called again. This time, I answered. Leora, this has gone far enough. Has it? I said calmly. You're hurting your brother. No, I corrected. I stopped helping him. She exhaled sharply. He's isolated. He's stressed. So was I said. When he dropped my work into a pool. Silence. He didn't mean intent doesn't fix consequences. She didn't have an answer for that. She never did. Later that evening, I stopped by their house to drop off a tax form Mom had asked for. The moment I walked in, I felt it. The shift. The tension. Dad stood in the kitchen, arms folded. You've been messing with Max's accounts, he said. I've been managing mine. You locked him out of PayPal. I removed myself from it. He says his site's down. Sounds like a hosting issue. Dad rubbed his temples. Why are you doing this? I met his eyes. Because no one else ever holds him accountable. You didn't have to be cruel. I let out a small laugh. Cruel was watching him destroy my business laptop while you told me not to make a scene. He looked away. No apology, just silence. The same silence that had protected Max my entire life. Your mother just wants peace, he muttered. Then she should have raised diplomats, I said quietly. Not demolition crews. I left before he could respond. That night, I went further. I removed my name from the shared PayPal business account completely, reassigned hosting credentials, cut off admin access to the email list I had built for his brand. Then, for good measure, I redirected all customer complaint emails straight to his personal inbox. If he wanted to run a business, he could finally run all of it. At 10:42 p.m., the group chat exploded again. Max, this is insane. Over a laptop? Mom, let's all stay calm. Max, I am calm. My bank account isn't. Dad, Leora, call your brother. I didn't reply. Instead, I screenshotted the conversation and saved it in a folder labeled Family Circus. Because what Max didn't understand, what none of them understood, was that this wasn't about revenge. This was about removal. Every dependency he had on me, every shortcut he'd taken through my work, my accounts, my patience, I was cutting all of it. Clean, quiet, permanent. That night, I slept better than I had in years. No noise, no tension, just stillness. Meanwhile, Max was unraveling. By the next morning, he had entered full meltdown mode. He called 3 times, texted twice. Finally, we need to talk. I ignored it. Then another message came through. Brian just called me. Why are you talking to him?
We are just
I
playing
paused.
Minecraft.
Brian. A real business contact. Someone Max had pitched once, and then ghosted when things got complicated. I hadn't reached out, but Brian had found me. Turns out, when Max's site redirected to 404 Accountability Not Found, Brian had looked up the original LLC registration. My name was on it. Because years ago, when Max needed credibility, I gave him mine. Filled out the forms, paid the fees, attached my address, my identity, my stability. I stared at the message, then set my phone down slowly. Because now, for the first time, this wasn't just about broken trust.
Oh, it's 16.
It was about something else.
Love you.
Something legal. And something Max had dragged my name
Wait,
into
actually,
without
what's my
ever
laptop
telling
peak? I
me.
don't even know.
The number that called me the next morning wasn't saved. I almost ignored it, but something in my gut
do you like
told
the
me
graph?
not to. Is this Leora Markham? A calm voice asked. Yes? This is Emmeline Gwynn with Veritas Credit. We're following up regarding the Markham Merchants account. I sat up straighter. I'm sorry, what account? A pause, then, there's an outstanding balance of $4,221.65 tied to a manufacturing invoice from 6 months ago. Your name is listed as the primary on the original registration. Everything went
village?
very still. Of course it was. Years ago, when Max needed legitimacy, I had signed the paperwork. Co-founder, registered agent. The responsible adult in a fantasy business. I pulled up the old LLC documents, scanned the names. Max, managing partner. Me, legally
It's a good
attached.
room portal.
My chest tightened, not with panic, but with clarity. He hadn't just borrowed my accounts, he'd borrowed my name. And now, it was being collected. I didn't call him immediately. I made coffee first, sat at the table, opened a new folder. Legal fire. Then I started pulling everything. Bank statements, archived emails, the original invoice, texts where Max had written, "I got it covered, LOL." Proof stacked neatly like bricks. By 10:14 a.m., I called him. He answered instantly. Hey, yeah, I was gonna tell you. You owe $4,000 under an LLC with my name on it. Silence. Then, softer. It's not a big deal. It is when it's my liability. I was gonna pay it. You didn't. Another pause. Then the line he'd used his whole life.
I just would like.
You've got savings. You're fine. I closed my eyes for a second. That was it. That was the moment the last thread snapped. You think me being responsible means I should cover your debt? He didn't answer. I didn't wait. I hung up. At 12:30 p.m., I drove to the county clerk's office and filed a formal dissolution notice for the LLC. 15 minutes, $25. Years of quiet obligation erased with a signature. From there, I went straight to the bank, removed my name from every linked account, every backup authorization, every shadow tie he could still use. Then I booked the earliest consultation I could find. At 3:47 p.m., I sat across from Kayla Jensen. Sharp eyes, no wasted words. I slid the folder across the table. She flipped through it once, then looked up with something almost like approval. You documented everything? Everything. She gave a small nod. Good. You're not cleaning up a mess. You're redirecting it. By evening, Max texted again. Mom says you're being extreme. Just let it go. I didn't respond with words. I sent a single attachment. The unpaid invoice. Final notice stamped across the top. He read it, didn't reply. That night, Dad called. No greeting. You hired a lawyer?
like my
Yes.
pickaxe.
Leora, this is too far. He used my name, my credit. I'm sure he didn't mean. Intent doesn't erase impact, Dad.
Look, we just don't need.
Silence. Then softer, almost tired.
We just don't need
Your mother's
evidence.
very upset. I let out a slow breath. She always is, when Max isn't comfortable. He had
The other
nothing
day-
left to say. 2 days
We don't need the
passed.
damn pickaxe.
Max went quiet. No posts, no calls. That was new. Meanwhile, Kayla moved fast. She sent a formal liability transfer request to the collections agency, backed with every document I'd gathered.
Oh, calm
Then a
down,
demand
calm
letter to
down,
Max.
calm down.
Registered mail, signature required. No drama, just consequences. Sealed and delivered. Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Everything snapped into
I
place.
know what I lost.
Max's
I lost
credit
something
card
valuable.
froze. His Shopify merchant account locked. Auto deposits stopped. Even the Wi-Fi at my parents' house rejected his login because I'd updated the network and, conveniently, never gave him the new password. At 9:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. Not Max, Brian. Saw your name come up again, he said. Max finally admitted you were the adult in that setup.
Relax.
I leaned back in my chair.
Dude, oh my
Took him long
gosh.
enough. Brian laughed. If you ever start something real, call me first. We talked for 30 minutes. By the end of it, I had a consulting contract. Not because of Max, in spite of him. At noon, Max finally texted. I can't believe you locked me out of everything. You're ruining my life over a stupid laptop. I stared at the
No, rank
message,
plan is
then
hard.
typed, This isn't about a laptop. It's about everything that came
Well, like,
before
maybe
it,
somehow
and
revived,
everything you
I think.
thought would come after. He replied instantly.
I didn't care enough to like.
You've
spend the
changed.
money to go over there.
I looked at the words for a long second, then answered, No,
Do you not look
I
close
stopped changing for you. Thursday morning, a thin envelope arrived. Veritas credit. I opened it at the kitchen table. One page, one line that mattered. Debt responsibility transferred. Max's name, not mine. I folded it carefully, placed it into a folder labeled Close Tabs, and slid it into my cabinet. That evening, Mom texted, You've made your point, but blood is blood.
enough. You gotta like learn how to like.
I
use
stared
your
at it,
brains
then
today.
typed back, Passwords change. So do
They actually feel like a
priorities.
different breed.
3 weeks later, a package showed up. No return address. Inside, a Ziploc bag. And inside that, my old laptop.
I swear I've never dealt with
Still
pickaxes.
waterlogged, still cracked, still dead. A sticky note was taped to the screen. Yeah, I owe you one.
Whatever.
I didn't laugh.
I don't know where I'm
I didn't
going.
cry. I just set it on a
I'm
shelf.
going this way.
Because some people never learn. And some of us never hand over the password again.